There we go. All right, chat. So we're going to look at the new features of the upcoming season. I think we'll start with the second one because I don't think I responded to this. So this is the co-driver update. They say hello. We're continuing to share details of what we can expect from the 9th season in Crossout. I can't believe we're 9 seasons in. This is a disclaimer that everyone always says, which is please note, all of these changes are preliminary, and it's possible that the final version of the mechanic will be entirely different. It never is. I think everyone has noticed that by now. In most games, this isn't a Gaijin exclusive thing. This is just in general, whenever someone says this gameplay is not indicative of the final quality, no, it always is. You know that. I know that. They're saying that the co-driver system is going to be completely redesigned. They're going to abandon the current list of co-drivers and present us with new characters. Each of them will have their own personal card. We'll be able to see the co-driver's skills, additional information, yada yada. Interesting. So, for example, they're saying their goal is to make each co-driver role useful, which, by the way, is interesting. Yeah, I know, right, Marb? Marb literally just dropped a bajillion electronics, which is, an insane amount of electronics, just to get Jade's final tier skill, and now they're getting rid of Jade. We'll talk about that in a moment. Don't worry. Let's see here. For example, they can include a bonus to weapon rotation speed, reduce spread, increase projectile speed, mass limit and tonnage, radius of explosion or flame puddles, and much more. The problem with this statement is this is what we currently have. They're saying each co-driver will have several passive skills that will improve your armor card parts in one way or another. So, how is that any different than what currently exists? So, what I mean by that is they're saying that they can include weapon rotation speed. Well, they have that. Perseus increases the weapon rotation speed of autocannons, right? Reduce spread. Well, we have that. That's Jade's final tier, as Marb just pointed out. So eloquently, right? Increased projectile speed. I don't think there's anything that does that right now. I think they do have damage, but I don't think there's speed. Increases in mass limit and tonnage. That is Master Jack 5, which most players in this game currently have. Increased radius of explosions or flame. Flame does exist. I think that's Misty, but I don't think explosion radius is increased by anyone else. And much more. And they give an example with Tankman here. Tankman has an activation which says after receiving 4 hits during 4 and for the next 4 seconds, it increases the resistance to all types of damage for 2 seconds. That's pretty cool, though that doesn't make sense. I think that means to say if you get hit 4 or more times in 4 seconds, then you get damage resistance. Okay, fair enough. That's not something that any current co-driver has. However, it has these other perks that are silly to me because it says minus 20% to generator explosion force, which means 20% less explosion damage from your generators going up. It has tank armor, which is plus 5% total durability, which, by the way, currently exists on Master Jack, Hans, and other co-drivers, and Blitzkrieg, which is minus 10% penalty received from movement parts. I think that means power penalty reduction? I mean, that's only 3 perks, and presently, co-drivers can give a significant sum of bonuses. But anyway, it says in addition to useful passive skills, each co-driver holds their own talent. In order to activate it, you'll need to perform certain actions. That's this talent up here. One of the co-drivers will increase the damage you deal to the enemy for a certain time and highlight weak spots in the enemy's car. To activate this talent, you need to hold your crosshairs on the enemy for a certain time, and the co-driver will be able to restore durability of their car by collecting the remains of destroyed enemies. That could be very interesting. You basically become a Torbjorn. For those of us who don't know Overwatch, you play a character, you kill enemies, you pick up their stuff, and then you can throw armor out. You got first place in Storm Warning. Jeez, Bush Monkey. Good job. Well done. Co-driver leveling system. With the new system, there will be no need to level up a co-driver to get the skill. Interesting. Each co-driver with all its skills will be purchased for glory points. This name may be changed later. I suggest that name be changed later. Something wrong about that name. I don't want to bring up what could be wrong about that name, but glory points, not a good idea. Glory points will be earned in every battle just by playing the game. You will gradually be able to accumulate the required number of points and unlock the next co-driver of your choice. After you have unlocked a co-driver, all their skills will be immediately available to you. Fair enough. Will there be some kind of compensation for old co-drivers and the resources spent on them? This is the thing that we're going to talk about right now. Marb just dropped 1 billion electronics on this. Glory points like pride points. Thank you, Marb. Of course, they say, we will take all the unlocked levels of your co-drivers into account and issue a corresponding amount of glory points. And then you can use them to unlock new co-drivers. All right. How do I put this? I understand that they're not about to just let all of those resources back into the economy. I know that. You know that. I know that. For those of us who do not know, unlocking the level 15 tier or even the level 2 tier of all the co-drivers is a lot of resources. It is a lot of resources. A lot of batteries, a lot of electronics, a lot of resources. And returning those resources to the economy would tank the economy for a little bit because everyone was going to have all those resources back. So they apparently, Gaijin is saying, no, those resources are gone. They're gone. They're dead. What we're going to do is we're going to give you glory points for your next co-drivers. Problem with this is I'm more than willing to bet that glory points are going to be generated significantly faster than the resources that were spent on the previous co-drivers. So I don't think that's going to balance out, chat. I don't think that's going to just balance out. Friendship Bunny says, I'm home from the Fairy Tale Festival, and you got me a present. Thank you, Friendship Bunny. I can't wait to hear this. Splatcake says they're going to give us points back to a co-driver, probably a rate of 1 to 10,000. Doesn't matter what they give us. It's not going to be enough because the resources themselves are more valuable than glory points. You can simply earn those by playing the game in addition to resources at the same time. So for example, this will be the second resource that you can earn simultaneously in parallel to what you can currently earn in game. The first being fuel, right? So you can go into a match and fight for scrap and simultaneously earn glory points. God, that name is terrible. And fuel, right? But what you can't do, for example, is get more electronics. You get to crosswave your house. Yay! Get to it, girl. You will only get glory points when you have premium, says Marby. Hilarious. When will we be able to try out this new system? We will definitely launch a test server where everyone will be able to try out the new co-drivers. Okay, interesting. After this testing, you'll be able to share your feedback, thoughts, and comments. We'll also be able to inform you when it's going up. Fair enough. And so that's the co-driver thing. Let's see if I hit F11. Go back. Oop. All right. New features of the upcoming season part 3. This looks sick nasty. Just so we're clear, I do like the look of this gun from the bottom. From the top, not so much. But from the bottom, it looks neat. So they're adding another special autocannon. For those of us who do not know, the special tier is the teal tier. My main man here, Mr. Bushmonkey, just created a special tier item. He created or is currently crafting a Hulk. This is going to be in that tier. So, special autocannon for short and medium distance firing. We continue to expand our range of special weapons for those players who have just begun their journey in the Wasteland world, as well as for those who occasionally take parts in battles in lower power score levels, but don't want to change their favorite weapon. This special autocannon is the predecessor of the Epic Whirl. It does look like it. The Whirl is the green one with double barrels. But if it seemed to you this is another younger version of the weapon, with all its parameters being lower than for its Epic counterpart, this is not so simple. What they're saying is this perk is going to be entirely different than the Whirl. This autocannon is a slightly lower fire rate, has less durability, and heats up faster. By the way, the Whirl heats up really fast. So that's going to be interesting. But, on the other hand, it deals the same amount of damage as the Cyclone and has increased firing accuracy. They're asking, how people are going to enjoy that, yada, yada, yada. Here's something that I have a problem with. This gun. I like the way it looks. I like the ideas behind it. And just so we're clear, I am almost always happy to see a new weapon into Crossout, period. New stuff is new stuff, fun stuff. The problem is this. This is an autocannon. Everyone's like, but Cardboard Ninja, of course it's not okay. No, 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 no. Stop, stop, stop. One moment. Let me rephrase. Let me jump right in there. The reason why the Whirl is good is because even though it is an autocannon, it is a machine gun. It basically is a machine gun. The reason why the Cyclone is good is because even though it's classified as an autocannon, it's basically a machine gun. It has a very, very high volume of fire that it can put down range, and the volume of fire that it deals is fairly moderate damage, moderate to high damage. This autocannon says it's undoing that. It's saying, no, 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 no. Instead of being inaccurate, which the Whirl is, and the Cyclone is, it's going to be accurate. Okay? But instead of having a high rate of fire, it's going to have a low rate of fire. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. That exists. As Splatacake has just mentioned, that's just the Whirlwind. That is literally the Whirlwind. We have that gun. That's the entire middle line of autocannon. The one that is bad in the video game. That I've actually have a video up on YouTube here that explains for 25 minutes why that tier of autocannons is trash. So this isn't boding well for this autocannon. One thing that I will say is it's most likely not going to do blast damage, and it's going to do bullet damage. That would be its one unique grace and possibly saving grace over other autocannons. Though they mentioned this only does cyclone damage, and the cyclone doesn't do more damage than the Whirl in one shot. So it's going to be a grab bag. I personally won't be building this because it's an autocannon. Uh, Also, it's teal tier, and I just see no need in making another teal tier autocannon. The AC 50 Storm exists, if I recall correctly, and that does what this is doing, and it's the same gun basically. And yes, the Cyclone does blast Splatacake, but this is in the same vein as or supposedly the same vein as the Whirl. So this thing could be just a bullet autocannon where it just sends straight up DPS bullets downrange. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on it. Could be good, could be fun. It's definitely not going to be meta of need because it's only teal tier, but autocannons already exist. So I mean, the base long range single shot autocannon already exists, and they aren't good. And I don't know why creating another one of these would help. This feels like it's going to compete in a space that is already dominated by a superior weapon, and the weapon itself is poor. So there you go. Continue on. The legendary rocket artillery. Thankfully, this picture is better than the previous picture I saw. The previous picture I saw looked like a toilet. Like, imagine this straight up and down. It just looks like a toilet seat. The cake is out of the oven and it smells good. Happy birthday. Enjoy that birthday cake. It sounds delicious. So this legendary rocket artillery. Have you often wanted to punish an impudent enemy who has taken up a position and is now firing at you from over the hill with one powerful and precise shot? Or take a moving enemy by surprise with one unexpected shot? Then this weapon is for you. At first glance, some might say this is the second Mandrake. By the way, we're going to talk about this, chat. But the first impression is deceptive. All these weapons have in common is their aiming mechanics. Ooh, artillery shells hit without a miss. Do you remember how randomly the shells of the Mandrake can scatter on the battlefield, which everyone does remember? 5 artillery rockets launched at the same time hit much more accurately, and you have almost no chance of missing a stationary target. If the enemy didn't understand who he was dealing with and didn't begin to change his position before your next shot, then he's likely that he will no longer be able to retaliate. Long story short, it's a precise artillery. It's an artillery that doesn't miss. The full power of this artillery can be observed during movement. The weapon's reloading will be boosted as the speed of your armored car increases. Long story short, this thing gets a reload boost based on your movement speed. So it's basically what Mandrake players do, except they get a bonus. Finally, I'd like to mention the ability to conduct accurate preemptive fire. Once in a battle against a driver armed with powerful artillery, enemies will always plan their route carefully, or they'll pay for their carelessness. So here's my problem. One moment, Friendship Bunny is saying things about cake, so we're going to skip that. Here's my problem with this. And this spells a continuing issue in Crossout. It's not a big issue, but it is an issue. If a weapon, item, or thing sucks in Crossout, it will never be fixed. The Mandrake presently has almost no presence in the game. It exists. You see it on bots, but the scant few players that I allowed for being phenomenal players of Crossout and being phenomenal players of the Mandrake no longer play the Mandrake. There was a player named Twos, TYZ, phenomenal Mandrake player, but he no longer plays Mandrakes. I think he swapped to Retchers. It's sad. He no longer used. He was the best player I've ever seen with the Mandrake, and even he gave up on it. He has two fused Mandrakes, quit, and this is because the Mandrake is bad. The Another example is ML200 legs and the Step Spider cabin. These things are relics. You don't see them played by players in the game. Nobody plays those games. Nobody plays those weapons. Nobody plays those armors or those cabins. They don't play them because they're bad. They've both been entirely obsoleted by Big Ram tires and now the Hadron, just superior cabin, superior legs, right? So this is similar to that. The legendary rocket artillery is here to solve the problem of the Mandrake. The Mandrake is bad because you cannot predict anything about it. You simply cannot land your shots. You can put the crosshair exactly over them. You can fire 5 shots from 2 Mandrakes, so 10 shots, and miss them with all of them. It's possible to do that, even when they're not moving. And so this is saying something similar, where you fire 5 artillery shots that don't miss, and if they're stationary, you're basically 100% guaranteed to hit them. And while that is good, hooray, this spells the death of the Mandrake, which is already dead, effectively. It's kicking a dead horse. This is basically going to out-Mandrake the Mandrake. And in fact, when I return back to game, I should check the price of the Mandrake, which has probably gone down because its competition is here. And according to this blog post here, not only does it shoot properly and actually land its shots, unlike the Mandrake, it has a perk, which the Mandrake I don't believe even has a perk. The perk of this is it reloads faster as you're repositioning, which is exactly what people who use the Mandrake currently do. So that's my only problem. Am I glad to see it in the game? Sure. Do I want to get one? I assume it's part of the battle pass. If it is, then I'll have it. Which is going to be great because that means that it was right of me to sell my Mandrake for so long ago. So yeah, not too terribly happy about that. That it's completely obsoleting the Mandrake, but on the other vein, like again, I like new weapons and I like new stuff in Crossout. So there you go. Customized CK kits for the Aurora and Small Track. This CK kit I think would do better with more color for the Aurora, but all in all, more CKs, mo better. I like it. The Small Track looks pretty slick, if I'm being honest. It's like see-through or something. Like it's like you're replacing the solid small tracks with these spaced small tracks, so you can kind of see through it. So I like that. I think that's cool. I have some small tracks. I'll be using it. Heck yeah, why not? CKs. Let's see here. And finally, there is more information about the co-driver, which is we've received a lot of questions about the reasons why we compensate only experience. Here we go. We want to clarify this point. It's not just experience that will be compensated with glory points, but the resources as well. So your new co-driver lineup will be the equivalent to the one you have now. In other words, those who did not invest resources into unlocking the levels of their current co-drivers and limited themselves only to the levels of experience will receive less glory points than those who unlocked all of this with money. Yeah, but that's still not. Once again, that's still not good enough. Like the amount of money in resources that are shoved into a co-driver is not insignificant. It's quite large. So, not sure how I feel about that. I still think that resources should be returned or something like that, because right now, like the amount of resources that it takes to level 15 any co-driver is obscene. Though the new co-driver system will probably be more accessible, that or it will require a significant amount of glory points. Jeez, that's such a freaking terrible name. That or it'll take a significant amount of GP to unlock the co-drivers. In the next dev vlog, we will share information about a new couple parts, as well as a long-awaited return of, can you guess what? The co-driver, a return of something. Okay. Yes, the Code system rework is not the only surprise of the upcoming update. There you go. We have thus gone over the new Battle Pass stuff. Seems interesting. I like the CKs. Weapons are going to be interesting, but once again, this autocannon is just an autocannon. It is no different than the World, no different than the AC-20 Storm, and the Rapier. It feels, it doesn't feel like it's going to be a good move. Yeah, it's probably going to be bullet damage instead of explosive damage, so it's going to have an advantage, but I don't think it's going to be that big of an advantage. And this is going to obsolete the Mandrake. I would not at all be surprised if the Mandrake cost or price in the market has immediately crashed and will never recover. So there we go. We've gone over it. Let's get back to Crossout.